and I won't delay it any further because you're quite exciting about our first speaker, Joe Justice. So welcome, it's yours. And I know that you've participated on the walk tour in Prague yesterday evening, right? So maybe a word or two, how did you enjoy it?
I've been thrilled to get to work with Rostislav over the last day in a workshop, and also Joe Krebs, who came all the way from New York City. And then this morning, I'd like to also thank Jarka, because you two filter who the speakers get to be, and all these people who really want to be in Product and Agile here in Prague. I'd like to say thank you so much for selecting me to get to be a part of the event. I'm really grateful. I've had an absolute wonderful experience. So for everyone who's trying to get a speaker's slot in Product and Agile, wonderful experience. I'm so grateful for it. Thank you. Yesterday, together with Joe Krebs, who did come all the way from New York in the USA, we conducted a workshop together on Joe DX, or what I was able to learn from Elon Musk when I set up and ran the Agile program in Tesla. And then, many times that workshop is too different than the way of working for most people. Most people don't have someone like Elon Musk as the owner of their company. So Joe Krebs made a bridge, a method called Agile Kata, to take a company towards that method. We explored that yesterday. We don't have a whole day together now, so I'd like to show you what I hope is the absolute best part. I think most of the people that logged into Slido are project managers or product owners. That makes sense. We're at product in Agile. And I hope this piece of Joe DX is helpful to all the POs and PMs here, whether or not Elon Musk is your CEO. Tesla and SpaceX speed with hashtag MobAI. Mob, or group work, has been popularized in Silicon Valley, doing group work with sometimes set roles, starting with a driver, one person who's writing software, or in Tesla, maybe they're welding, maybe they're melting metal, any kind of work. Then you have a navigator coaching them, giving them encouragement. If the navigator knows more, the navigator might give advice. Then you have one or two, maybe three other people asking humans and AI's questions to better understand the problem and to get good suggestions. And they use those suggestions to give the navigator more ideas while the driver focuses on the tool. Elon Musk retweeted an earlier version of this presentation. Elon is a successful CEO, but Elon said that instead of CEOs and workers, we should all be workers. In other words, the ideal organization is one in which all employees are workers, and self-organized teams create products, rather than requiring the presence of a manager to lead the organization. The benefit of this is financial efficiency. If a company spends 40% of its budget on engineering and 60% on management and coordination, they can never compete euro for euro, dollar for dollar, yen for yen, RMB for RMB, with a company that can approach near 100% of its workforce directly engineering on the product or service. But how? How could you have almost entirely engineering without chaos? How could we create a focused product? Elon says everyone should be a worker, but how would you do it? First, you split the complex product into parallel executable work streams. Before working for Elon Musk, I did work for Jeff Bezos at Amazon, and before that, I did work for Bill Gates at Microsoft. Bill Gates is the one who showed me how to cut any business project, any business goal, into parallel executable work streams that don't have to wait on each other. Tesla does this in hardware. SpaceX does this in rockets. The Boring Company, another Elon Musk company, does this in construction, parallel executable construction. Neuralink does this in medical devices, parallel executable medical teams. The idea is you can make a change to the right side of the car to make it lighter, cheaper, safer, last longer, and it doesn't have to change the front or the floor or the rear. These pieces can be re-engineered at any time or in any order. Some benefits are that more people can work at the same time. If you have a mob, a group of people assisted by AI tools working on one module, you have more efficiency in the building, in the physical space. Whereas in traditional manufacturing, you simply don't have as much room. Tesla says that results in a 44% operator density improvement, how many people can work, and a 30% space and time efficiency improvement, the time and space that's consumed to produce a vehicle. All around the world, most hardware companies manufacture the way Toyota has been manufacturing since the 1960s, an 80-year-old method. We plan, analyze, build, test, deploy. Waterfall manufacturing. When we have modules, Tesla has introduced agile manufacturing, where you have not one manufacturing line, but you have agile cells, each producing and designing their own module. They test their own module, and then we have automated integration. It's hardware DevOps. Some of you might know the best-selling car in the world today is the Tesla Model Y. It was a Toyota Camry for more than 20 years. That got the attention of Toyota. And Toyota has contacted the company I'm in, the Agile Business Institute, to introduce Tesla Speed. And Toyota has started their modular journey at our recommendation. Toyota has started with 3 parallel pieces. They want more, but this is their first step. This was introduced 4 weeks ago, Toyota's modularity. So some people still think Toyota is the best manufacturing company in the world. Maybe. Well, they're doing it too. So if Tesla and Toyota are doing it, maybe Skoda should consider it too. Toyota thinks even with only 3 modules, they'll half development cost and half the cost of a factory. And I think they're right. Now, a project that's as big as an entire third of a car, that's still a great big waterfall project. It still has multi-year budgeting, multi-year planning. It's not agile yet. We need more pieces, smaller pieces, until they're mob-sized pieces. This is according to one of the 3 things that got named after me. One of the reasons I get to be here. Thank you so much. In 2006, I published Justice's Law. The modules of the product, the modules of the system, tell us how to structure our company. If our car is 3 modules, we should have 3 business units with their own budget, their own planning, their own software development, their own testing, so we can run at maximum speed without waiting on each other. If we have 8 modules, like my car company, Wikispeed, some of you know about that. If you have 8 modules, ideally you would have 8 business units, each with their own budgeting, their own planning, their own engineering, their own software, their own testing, so they don't have to wait on each other. But most companies are the opposite of this. Most companies have central planning and tell everyone to try to get on their waterfall rhythm. Then, all teams often wait on central testing. No team can go faster than central integration and central integration testing. This is the slowest possible framework, and this is normal. So step one, I believe, modularity. Like Bill Gates tried to teach me, cut whatever product you're doing into as many parallel executable pieces as possible, instead of dependent phases. In 2010, and then in 2011, I started consulting to Tesla. At that time, their product, it became the Model S, their large sedan. At that time, the product was called White Star. The code name was White Star. They had two modules, the battery pack and everything else. So the battery pack could be upgraded completely independently from the car. This was a great first step. I recommended more modularity, and we took apart a car that my company had made, Wikispeed, in 8 modules. And we slid the entire engine assembly out and slid it back in less than 5 minutes. That really impressed the Tesla team. The most recently introduced Tesla product, the Tesla Semi, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 modules. All of these can be upgraded at any time. So for example, if you're working in the seats organization, you can attempt to make a more comfortable or lower cost seat as fast as you can, and you can introduce it at any time. The battery pack doesn't have to change when you introduce the new seat. A new battery pack can be introduced at any time, and as long as the outer dimensions are similar, the seat doesn't have to change. Same with the cooling system. The cooling system, which cools the battery pack, completely separate, as if it's a separate company, wholly owned by Tesla. When I worked in Tesla, every day at 5 a.m., actually some days I'd come in earlier, we would walk into Fremont, California, and look at these huge boards and choose which project we'd work on. No manager told me, or as far as I could tell anyone, what to work on. We walked in and looked at where Tesla needed help, and we walked there. It was like going to an open space conference and choosing the session you want to join. If you zoom in on this board, when I introduce it to other companies now, I call it the Justice Board, here's what you see. Per module, for example, the center display, the dashboard display that 3 of Tesla products use, the Model 3, the Model Y, and the Tesla Semi. They use the same display. You can see today, and in fact this is real time, so this second, how much cost in pennies does it take to make a center display right now? This is a real-time number. And these are real numbers, by the way. How much the display weighs in grams, and how much power the display consumes in milliwatts. And your job, when you walk into Tesla at 5 a.m., is to say, which of these numbers do you think you could improve today? And you walk to that area, and it's your job to work with 3 or 4 other people, assisted by AI tools, to try to design and build and test in 12 hours, if you can. Some teams do it in 3 hours. A new display that draws a milliwatt less power, that weighs a gram less, that takes a penny less to build, or a penny less to maintain in the future. And you can see it happens. These numbers drop a tiny bit every day. Most companies have a 2.5-year plan to change their hardware. Even software is often a 3-month plan, or even longer. In Tesla, there's no plan. There's no plan. It's, can you make one of these numbers better today? And here's what it actually looks like. This is the heat pump of the Tesla Semi, the same heat pump used in all Tesla products, Model S, Model X, Model 3, Model Y, and now the Cybertruck. It started looking like this. I don't know how many car enthusiasts we have in the room, but this is very normal. This is how almost any car in the world heats and cools itself. And you have fans bought from vendors and radiators bought from vendors and these different parts. Every day, teams self-organize to try to make this weigh 1 gram less, draw 1 milliwatt less power, cost 1 penny less to make, last, in simulated aging, 1 minute longer. And it gets a little simpler over time. It gets a little lighter, a little cheaper. Also, it gets a little smaller. That helps because then other module teams have a little more room to experiment. But over time, all the modules get a little smaller until a team tries a big change. And eventually, this is the system now. It's the size of a shoebox. It costs truly pennies to make. It takes truly seconds to make. It's very light. It has replaced all of this. It does the same thing. It heats and cools not only the passenger compartment, but also the battery pack, which is very important for electric vehicles. This was not designed up front. No one knew how to do this in the beginning. No one had any idea. The only way they learned how to make this compact device is by every day attempting to make improvements. Well, this is so small that there's all this room around it for other teams to try other experiments. Here are actual photos of mobs using AI tools on the heat pump line. In Tesla, design happens in the factory. Most companies have a glass office area in the factory with some management, and then a separate office for designers, often in another time zone, in another country entirely. In Tesla, these are designers. These are engineers. And the first thing they do when they walk onto the heat pump manufacturing line is they physically make a new heat pump. They don't start by drawing it. They don't open a laptop. They start melting plastic. Can we get plastic to move a different way? They start by bending metal themselves. Me too. I did this too, thousands of times. Bending metal, cutting metal, drilling metal, braiding wires. While this team is trying to make one heat pump that weighs 1 gram less, costs a penny less, lasts a minute longer in simulated aging, while they're doing it, another member of the team is programming robots to try to automate building the thing. Now, most companies make a design, and then after the design is approved, and several approval steps, then they start programming robots and making manufacturing. Elon Musk's idea is you only learn by building, not by drawing, not by talking, only by building. So build all the time. We know we'll have to program the robots again soon, maybe later today. So you don't not program the robots because you'll have to do it again. You want to program the robots at least once a day so you become really good at programming the robots and you learn the limits of what the robots can and cannot do. Often, Tesla employees knew more about what the robots could and could not do than the companies that made the robots. Another member of the team draws a 3D model, not of the part that's being made, the heat pump, but of the manufacturing process that makes it. By animating the manufacturing steps and taking in models of blocks of metal and plastic pellets and animating, melting them, it results in the 3D model of the part. So the part itself is not drawn. The factory steps are drawn and animated, which results in the part. The definition of done for Mob AI is the production is fully automated and automated testing. That's when this mob can go do something else. A version of the heat pump that weighs a penny less or in some key number is better is in production with automated test. Now, these teams are so good at this now, and the AI assistance is so good, and the robots are so capable that the teams can often go through this entire cycle more than once in a 12-hour shift. And as a result, all the modules of all Tesla products get a tiny bit better once or more time a day. Hashtag MobAI is searchable, so you can see that Toyota is doing it now. Toyota has adopted this product in Toyota City in Nagoya, Japan, their global headquarters. They use it for powertrain development and possibly other uses. MobAI adds in-house, your own trained AI tools to add quality and speed. Mobs start with over 100,000 people at Tesla. Mobs would start with 150,000 employees at Tesla, and then self-organize into groups of about 50, and then into sub-modules until they reach the ideal size of approximately 3 to 5 people, assisted by AI tools. If mobs share an interface, if their modules connect, they choose to work within 3 meters of each other. This is Neuralink making medical devices. This is Tesla Germany. This is Brandenburg, Berlin, making cars. At Tesla, all mobs are on-site, not remote, even software, as they are expected to help with physical work too. So if you're a software developer at Tesla, you're also expected to physically build things. Everyone is expected to physically build things. That's why there's not remote work. If your product is purely virtual, like only software, then I recommend remote mobs. I actually prefer remote mobs. Maybe in person is a little faster. I believe it to be about 2% faster. But being 2% slower doing remote mob, I think is worth it for the extra time with family and taking care of your own interests. Virtual mobs are almost as fast and possible if the product is virtual. Hashtag MobAI is ideal for 3 to 5 people. Mob works well with any composition of skill. A mob with all new people is highly creative. The AI tools help us make progress within a 12-hour shift, even if everyone's new. At Tesla, we would mob on emails, contracts, programming, 3D drawings, even physical work, like assembling robots or building cars. All the work I saw in Tesla was mob. Well, group work. We didn't call it mob. I took a certified Scrum developer workshop after retiring from Tesla, and Paul Moore introduced me to virtual mobbing. And I said, this looks a lot like what we did in Tesla. And I've never seen anything closer yet. So I'll use that name. The in-house software is trained on each module. So if you're working on the seats team and deploying airbags as part of your seats, you do have an AI stack that's trained on every 3D drawing of the seat and all of your airbags. It also gets real-time data from all the 5 million Teslas on the road, saying, how do people sit in the seat? What position do they sit in? Are they using the seat adjusters? Are they using the temperature controls? When are the seats failing and needing repair? What types of use is making the seats fail? All of that data is coming back into the machine learning stack for seats, for your seating team. So if you join the seating team, you already have a highly trained digital assistant that helps you draw seats. Tesla makes their own CAD, their own 3D drawing software. It helps you simulate seat wear. Tesla makes their own accelerated aging software. But more importantly, it helps you manufacture them. Tesla's AI is also trained on the manufacturing steps to make these products. You can't just ask ChatGPT or Google Bard or Microsoft Bing to draw a new electric motor that's more efficient than any motor any human has ever made. Microsoft Bing, ChatGPT, and Google Bard aren't that good yet. Maybe someday, but not yet. Tesla has their own AI for electric motors, and it can. It has a CAD model of every motor Tesla has ever made, and it has real-time feedback from all 5 million Teslas in the road showing which parts of the motors are getting hot, how much electricity flows through them, what their efficiency is when they fail, and it will draw for you CAD models of motors. But even more importantly, it will show you how to build them. The AI is trained on the manufacturing steps to make these. The real product is your production. Just like in software, the real product is your engineers and your DevOps. What you build is the result of your great DevOps and your great engineers. Well, the same in Tesla and in SpaceX. Materials testing, how electromagnetic fields go through these materials over time, constantly runs on huge material testing farms. This picture is from Texas. The data on how these materials actually perform automatically feeds Tesla's AIs. Altogether, the AI stacks for all the modules of Tesla cars is now one integrated software product called Tesla One. And this is actually the core differentiator between Tesla and any other company. This digital backbone that allows teams of passionate people to make improvements to the car multiple times a day is truly the result. Now, a common question is, how do you get government approvals? And that's not the next picture I have. I do have a picture of it happening somewhere, but I'll say it now. As each car is assembled, each car puts itself through every government-required test, every single one. And it's the same Tesla One software doing it, running on the car. Each car creates its own application to request approval by the world's governments, because every car is potentially unique, every single one. Now, most of the world's governments don't care how you melted the plastic to make the heat pump. That doesn't require recertification. So many of these changes don't require recertification, but some of them do. So each car already has its own application ready digitally to request approval. And if Tesla engineers believe this car is different enough that it should be reapproved, it's uploaded that day. Now, most companies have a several hundred-page or several thousand-page request for approval that they send every year to 7 years. Instead, Tesla sends a one-page document about once per day. That's agile thinking, right? Small changes frequently. That's what Tesla does in hardware. That's what Neuralink does in medical devices. Now, altogether, this results in the car, same car, not a new model, the same car, costing 30% less to make over 4 years. Every day, little pieces costing a penny less, a penny less. And it improves the customer experience as well. The charge time of charging a Tesla has decreased 30% over 5 years because of software optimizations to better prepare the battery pack's temperature and better deploy electricity into the packs when charged. And the fundamental manufacturing process improves. As the number of Teslas built, in this case Model Ys, increases, the labor hours to build a Model Y decreases. Every day, teams are adding new robots and reprogramming robots and making the modules easier to manufacture, take a second less to manufacture. And this compounds over time. And you can see every day it changes. The goal is for 100% of staff to be engineers, directly improving the products and services. Amazingly, this process works in automotive at Tesla, pure software at X, formerly Twitter, construction at The Boring Company, medical devices at Neuralink, and aerospace at SpaceX. SpaceX made 1,000 hardware changes to the world's largest rocket in 69 days. Mark Zuckerberg credits Elon Musk with kicking off the tech trend of firing middle managers when other CEOs were a little shy. Marit Lanti, who wrote the paper that became Scaled Agile Framework, contacted me on LinkedIn and said Musk is replacing middle management with AI. I said, yes. The goal is for 100% of staff to be engineers. Ted Malaska, Senior Director of Application Software at SpaceX, wrote on LinkedIn, "We are looking for outstanding engineers to work in a game-changing environment. No product managers. No agile. I never saw big room planning. I never saw even sprint planning. I never met a product owner or a project manager working in Tesla. And when I visited SpaceX, I didn't see it either. No architects, no designer. How could you make the world's largest rocket with 1,000 changes in hardware in 69 days? And these rockets carry humans, living humans, to connect to the International Space Station and bring them back down to Earth. How could you do that with no designers and no architects? Mob AI. We're in the office every day, but you get to change the world and work on rockets. What I'd like to summarize with today is try to split whatever project we're working on anywhere in the world, software, hardware, business, try to split it into parallel executable modules. By module, I mean you could build it in any order or at the same time. And then try to build as many of them at the same time as you have people. If you have 50 people, that might be about 10 mob AI teams. Give them a digital assistant. If you can, train your own AI like Tesla does, then it can be really precise about the recommendations it gives. And that will result in your business model. This is what has replaced project management at SpaceX. When I introduce this at other companies, I call it the Justice Board. 1, start with the 1,000-year goal for your company. For SpaceX, it's colonize other planets. That's the goal of SpaceX, colonize other planets. Ted Malaska writes, honestly, we don't think of the competition much here at SpaceX. It's more about the impossible goal of Mars that drives us. That's exactly what I experienced at Tesla. We celebrated when Volkswagen sold more electric cars. We celebrated when Mercedes-Benz sold more electric cars. We celebrated when anyone made electric cars, not just Tesla. I've never experienced that in another company. That's because the 1,000-year goal at Tesla is accelerate the transition to renewable energy. There's no profit motive. Elon Musk doesn't even own a house. Elon sleeps in a sleeping bag on the factory floor. After your 1,000-year goal, take a guess what measurable number is your current bottleneck to that 1,000-year goal. For SpaceX, it just costs too much to put things into space. We can't colonize other worlds yet because it costs too much to put something into space. So the primary metric is how much does it cost to put 1 kilogram into low Earth orbit. That's the fundamental bottleneck for SpaceX. And by focusing on that, by mobbing on that, SpaceX has the lowest cost per kilogram into orbit of any aerospace company in history. In fact, the second place is the previous version of SpaceX rocket. And the third place is the previous version of SpaceX rocket. And fourth place is China. All of China. So you have an entire country. And SpaceX and this one company is superior in step 2 and 3. Under that bottlenecking KPI, humans take a guess at some number that they might be able to improve today. With the AI tools we have today, with the engineers we have today, what could we maybe improve today? Is there some part of the rocket that we could build in a second or less today? Is there a piece of the rocket, a module, that we could make today and it would weigh a gram or more than yesterday? Is there a module we can build that would cost a penny or less to build today? Can we give the rocket a gram or more thrust? This picture is from Tesla's Justice Board. I don't have an actual photo that I'm allowed to share of SpaceX, so I've drawn this one. But you can see the actual metrics that teams self-organize around. Now, what this does is it results in a lot of rockets. Musk says you don't learn by talking about it, you don't learn by drawing it, you learn only by building it, so never stop building. SpaceX is the only rocket company that starts building a new rocket every day. It takes them 3 days to design and build and test an entire upper stage. An entire rocket takes about 1 month. Then that tells you what your business model is. Most companies start with a business model. In a Musk company, it results from your 1,000-year goal. For SpaceX, their business model is investing in the factory and the AI tools and the people's skills to quickly improve rockets. Then instead of selling rockets like every other rocket company, the United Launch Alliance, Ariane Group, Boeing Military, Boeing, Airbus, Airbus Military, all of which I've worked with. They all sell a rocket launch and they build one rocket for that launch. SpaceX instead builds rockets as fast as they can, every day. And they sell rides on those rockets. It's more like Uber. You don't know which car is going to come pick you up, but you've said at this time, please take me to this place. That's the business model that's resulted for SpaceX. Cost per kilogram into orbit, and you don't know which rocket you'll ride on. SpaceX doesn't know which rocket you'll ride on. You ride on whichever rocket meets the definition of ready on the date your payload needs to go up. I'm Joe Justice, founder of the Agile program at Tesla, and I visited SpaceX and got to share some of that. Thank you very much. It's my honor and privilege to be part of Product in Agile today. Thank you.
Do we have questions on Slido yet? Maybe I can check on my own.
It's already there.
Ah, amazing. So maybe you can pick on your own, Joe. It's already there.
Okay. Here we go. One moment. Okay. So let's say Tesla built in February is always better than one built in January, etc. That's the goal. That's the goal. Now this is frustrating because a lot of people, when they do finally buy some car, they don't want it to be better after they bought it, right? But what do we do with laptops? We know laptops are going to keep getting, we hope, better, or phones. So at some point you do just get one, right? And maybe that is frustrating. But what, you want laptops and phones to stop getting better? I mean, the alternative isn't good. So it does mean your mindset as a customer does need to change. It's more like getting a phone. You know they're going to keep getting better, but this is when I've decided to opt in. And I will invest in a new car at the cadence at which I can afford and when the technology change is enough to justify me buying it, just like a phone or a laptop. Cars used to change so slowly that we didn't have to think that way. Yeah, it's the phone and laptop model. Yeah, the goal is hopefully they keep getting better. In fact, 3 days ago, the Model Y just got 0.1 second faster to 100 kilometers an hour. So they keep getting faster, and the range keeps getting longer, and the price keeps coming down. Some people don't know it. A Tesla now costs less to buy, not even factoring in cost of fuel or whatever. To buy, just straight purchase price, is less than the average price of a gasoline or diesel car. The cost just keeps going down. But yeah, that could be frustrating. How are the changes in each module coordinated between teams when changes in size are made? Okay, if teams share an interface, they're going to connect. They choose to work within 3 meters of each other. There's no meetings. There's no meetings. This really shocks most of us, and I believe you, right? But truly, you just see it. Now, if our team makes a change to the interface, we are required to put an adapter on it to the previous version. We cannot say we are done until we've included an adapter to the previous version. And if we cannot adapt to the previous version, our change is so big, we have to make a new module that includes the other module. So every once in a while, a new module comes that includes previous pieces so they can change the way they connect. How are software teams organized? The developers for electronic control units. Does each hardware module have its own software developers related to their module? How are integration and dependencies managed between modules? The Mob AI system that I showed was the exact same for hardware and software. There was no difference in self-management that I saw, that I understood, in hardware or software. Yes, module teams had their own software and their own hardware. But remember, each morning at 5 a.m., you picked where to go. You could go to the same module many days in a row, many years in a row, or you could change. So it's not like you're a developer for the braking system. Maybe you happen to go to the braking systems most days, but you could go anywhere. Besides getting Elon on the board of directors, what would you recommend to bring such change to your organization? I don't know if everyone wants to work this way, but if you want to move towards this way, I'd recommend picking a pilot project and setting its 1,000-year goal. What's the real reason this pilot project should exist? For 1,000 years. And then get written permission that that pilot project can do its own budgeting cycle. Written permission that that pilot project can do its own testing, that it can try new development and hiring practices. We need written permission to operate in a different way. If we have the same 1-year budget cycle as the rest of the company, how could we pivot in less than a day? So you need written permission. Then if you get that, you have a 1,000-year plan and written permission, then you can self-organize Mob AI teams around modules. And I think we've just ran out of time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We thank you. Don't be sad, there'll be still some time during the networking, so catch up with Joe, and of course the Word Cafe, so there's some space.
Thank you. For any comment or question that we didn't get to together, please tweet or X it to me. I'm @JoeJustice, and tag Product in Agile so people know where and the whole community can respond. And it doesn't have to be questions. Comments are fine too. I'm ready to learn. So you can say, actually, Joe, and then that's welcome. But yeah, LinkedIn is fine, or X is fine, or please tag product in Agile. I'm Agile Justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.